Okay. We're good. Bendy tripods are cool, but it's harder to get them level. So keep that in mind too if you guys ever get one of those one day, the Joby ones. They're cool though. Can sit it on a desk. That's actually what I'm doing right now. Anyway, to get started today, I have a cool video too for a lot of you students out there. If you're somebody in high school who's graduating soon, if you're somebody who is actually right now deciding between, you know, community colleges, or if you're gonna go to university, if you're gonna transfer, if you're just gonna get an associate's degree, this is the video for you. So a little bit backstory, I graduated high school back in 2015. And I started in the fall at a four-year university in California. So I moved to California when I was 17, went to San Jose State University in the Bay Area, and I was lucky enough that I was an out-of-state student, but I had a scholarship. After studying for a little while, the part that came really apparent to me was that school is really expensive, apart from just what a scholarship covers in tuition, and living in California is also very expensive. So what I ended up doing, since I was working and I had actually started working for Apple, I was lucky enough where I was working that job, but then I had to work a lot of hours and I wasn't able to study enough. I ended up leaving school, so I actually dropped out of San Jose State University for an entire year and went full-time. So I was working 40 hours a week in order to save up money and be there long enough so I could actually qualify as an in-state student. And then about a year ago, so that was 2 years ago, about a year ago, I decided to come back in. I was able to rejoin the ROTC program, and my goal right now is to graduate soon from a four-year university, get a degree, and hopefully be able to be a pilot. That would be my goal, would be to be a fighter pilot for the Air Force. But plans change, and if you're an ROTC student and cadet, something that you'll know is that a lot of times it's not only what you want, but it's also the needs and what ends up happening, you know, the opportunities that you're able to achieve. So anyway, I started school and I rejoined and went to community college. So De Anza College is the college around here. It's actually in Cupertino, literally right around the corner from Apple headquarters, which is really cool because I could actually go in there and like eat lunch with my employee badge. And for being a community college, since it was in you know, that city that gets all that money from having Apple, for example, be there. It's a nicer city in the Bay Area, and so the university gets a good amount of money, and it's a really cool, it's a college, so that's De Anza College. And for the past year, I've been taking classes there as an in-state student, and it's great. So I do have a couple things I wanted to share, because there are a couple gripes and a couple things that you want to know about community college before you go there, because there's cool things and there's bad things. What I like a lot better is honestly the classes. So I can spend $300 in a quarter, and that's a book in a university. So classes are way cheaper, and that's even without financial aid or tuition reimbursement if you have a job that offers that. So that's a great part about it. If you find a community college, you want to look for one that has high transfer rates if you're looking to transfer, that has good availability of classes, which this one did, because it's a community college, it's smaller. The university that I was going to before is a huge university, and you get that whole bureaucratic mess of paperwork and things like that. So that's one of the other reasons I don't want to transfer there again, is because they do have a lot of students, and sometimes it feels like there's too many, and if you want to meet with an advisor there, you have to come in, you have to wait an hour, because they're only available for an hour of time a week, and there's about 1,000 students in just that major. There might even be more, but you actually have to wait an hour before they even open just to get in a line, so that way you can see them, so you can sign up for classes the next semester, even if you already know which classes you want. So things like that are also reasons why I like the smaller schools, and being at a community college, you can go in one day, you can do a drop-in and talk to an advisor, and you can see somebody as soon as half an hour once you get there. So that's the really nice part. They have a little bit more availability of resources per student just for being a little bit smaller. But the other thing that you need to worry about, which is kind of the rant for today, I would say, is transferring out, especially if you're somebody who wants just an associate's degree, you want to go to college, you want to get some sort of certificate, but you don't want to do the whole 4 year because you don't really see an advantage to it, definitely go find a good community college, and you can get your degree there and you're good. The hardest part is going to community college and transferring out to a university, because as somebody who brought in credits from university, I took all the business classes since I'm a business administration student. I took all the econ, micro, macro, I took the accounting classes. There's 3 different accounting classes that you need to take, all the starting business classes, English classes, speech classes, all of those, really just missing the math and some humanities classes that I need. those were offered by the university and they counted towards GEs, but transferring them in, for example, I just found out recently that my econ classes, one of them counted, the other one I actually need to retake, not for my major requirements, but for GEs. I actually needed to take another social class because it didn't count for some reason, even though one of them did, the other one doesn't. I'm not too sure why. The advisors, a lot of times, they're there to help you, and they tried to explain this to me, but I had been going in, you know, usually once a quarter, and it's not even something that I found out until recently. I actually sent in my application to actually get my my graduation certificate so I can formally transfer. And it's something that before, you know, when it didn't come up in the system that both counted, they just said, oh no, you're good, it counts. It just, for some reason, it's pushed down into the electives. Until I went in recently and I told them, oh, they said it was good before, and then they actually talked to somebody else and they're like, no, it's not. So now you need to take one more class if you want to graduate, and I'm trying to graduate right now. In about 10 weeks when this quarter ends. So those things isn't, regardless of what community college you go to, those things you're probably not going to be able to escape. That's just the nature of it. There's so many universities and each university has little bits of requirements. If you're transferring in credits, you're transferring credits from multiple community colleges. If you just start out at one community college and then you want to transfer, you have to keep in mind that you might be taking some classes that may count for them to get that associate's degree, but then if you want to transfer out into university, they may not count it. They may count it in one area for the major, but they may not count it for your GEs. So then it might be more classes that you have to take. So that's something that you also have to keep in mind. That's the biggest problem that I have, you know, the fact that sometimes advisors may be a little bit inconsistent from each other, but that's not their fault. They're really nice people, and they just have so many schools, especially in this area, you can't know each one, you know, and you can't know everything they want. So a lot of times they just say, here's what you probably should do, but just, you know, if you can, and a lot of times you can't, but go talk to the university. And a lot of times for me, I couldn't talk to the university because I'm not a student there. I can't talk to their advisors. There's websites that you can go to that show classes, but even those classes, there's a couple different interpretations. As I just told you about my my macroeconomics, even though it said right there you have to take macroeconomics, it doesn't count for a GE, even though in certain situations it should, and it would. So that's something you definitely want to keep in mind. And I wasn't able to find this out until, since I couldn't talk to the university's advisors until I apply. That's the time that you get that interpretation and that actual review. So a lot of times, if you think you have it, just apply it. And they may say, hey, you don't have this, you need this. And then you go back and take that class, and it is going to happen. So try applying sometimes, knowing that you probably may not get accepted just due to credits. But you can save so much money, and it's one of the reasons I don't have these heaping tons of student debt that a lot of people have, is because a lot of the teachers in community colleges also teach at universities. That's something that I noticed. Is I had a couple, I didn't have them directly, but I had a couple professors at the four-year university, which you're paying, you know, $10,000 a semester of just tuition. They actually end up teaching at community colleges because it's a way for them to make money too, and it's a way for them to just get experience in different places, and that's something that you have very often. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you look for a good institution, but definitely something that I've learned is community colleges can help you a lot towards getting a four-year degree, and it's a good advantage to take, especially if you don't, you know, want to be in debt $50,000 after you graduate from a four-year university. But apart from that, that's all I have for you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.